Yes. Don't model that for a second. Try to understand the point. I think that's what Paul's doing in this church at Thessalonica. He's going, I know you don't want to do this anymore. I know you don't want to run this race. I know you're tired. I know you don't know why people are coming against you. I know you don't want to give your money to the church anymore. And to me, I know you don't want to do this. But let me tell you, this is going to be awesome. Tomorrow, Jesus may come back. I want you to have joy no matter what happens, because it could happen. It could happen while you're sleeping. It could happen. Does that make sense to you? Wouldn't it be awesome every morning to have like the Apostle Paul come into your bedroom and wake you up and say, hey, I want you to get up today. I want you to face today, go at it, have fun, serve the Lord with gladness, because Jesus may come back tonight. You see, we know that in our heads. And then after about a year of him not coming back, what happens? Paul, you better get out of my room. Unless you have Starbucks with you, get out of my room. Alright? Just get out of my sight. I want to talk to you. That's what begins to happen. And Paul's warning is, don't let it happen. That's why he says, be joyful. What does the Bible say about joy? Oh my goodness. The text over in the NIV Concordance, over 236 verses in the Bible about the word joy. I love joy. It's exciting, sing for joy before the Lord, and now to sing with joy how willingly your people who are here have given to you. Nehemiah 8, chapter 10, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Psalm 16:11, you've made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. The text says in Psalms, we will shout for joy and gladness. We shout for joy and thanksgiving. To God my joy and my delight. Shout to God with cries of joy. Sing to God with songs of joy. Some of you sitting right now and saying, you know, I have nothing to be joyful about. My life stinks. That's why I challenge you that your life does not stink if you're a child of God. Did you hear me? So Paul's trying to tell this young church, you may be persecuted, you may be killed tomorrow, but your life does not stink if you're a child of God. J.K. Chesterton says this: Jesus came as the joy bringer. The joy we see in the happiest child is but a fraction of the joy that resides in the heart of God. He says this, because children have abounding vitality, because they are in spirit fierce and free, therefore they want things repeated and unchanged. There are no kids like that? He gives an example. They always say, do it again! And the grown-up person does it again until he's nearly dead. For grown-up people are not strong enough to continue in this monotony of joy. But perhaps God is strong enough to continue in this monotony of joy. It is possible that God says every morning, do it again to the sun, and every evening, do it again to the moon. It may not be automatic necessity that makes all days alike. It may be that God makes every day separately, but has never got tired of making them. It may be that He has the eternal appetite of infancy, for we have sinned and grown old, and our Father is younger than we. He never grows tired of joy. Do it again. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine the creation stories of Jesus was us? In the beginning, it was 9 o'clock, so God had to go to work. He filled out a requisition to separate light from darkness. He considered making stars to beautify the night and planets to fill the skies, but thought it sounded like too much work. And besides, thought God, it's not my job. So he decided to knock off early and call it a day. And he looked at what he had done, he said, it'll have to do. On the second day, God separated the waters from the dry land. He made all the dry land flat, plain, functional, so that, behold, the whole earth looked like Idaho. He thought about making mountains and valleys and glaciers and jungles and forests, but decided it wouldn't be worth the effort. And God looked at what he had done that day and said, it'll have to do. And God made a pigeon to fly in the air, and a carp to swim in the waters, and a cat to creep upon dry land. And God thought about making millions of other species of all sizes and shapes and colors, but he couldn't drum up any enthusiasm for any other animals. In fact, he wasn't too crazy about the cat. Amen. Besides, it was almost time for the late show, so God looked at all he had done, and God said, it'll have to do. And at the end of the week, God was seriously burned out. So he breathed a big sigh of relief and said, "Thank me, it's Friday." It's not the God we serve, is it? It's not the God I know. But it's the life I live all too often. Paul tells his church in Thessalonica, be joyful. I think the creation story sounds a little more like this. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and God saw the light was good. The first day was this exceptional day of joy, and God did a little dance. And the next day, God said to the light, "Do it again," and the light did it again, and God danced once again. So it was, so it's gone every day to this one, down to the morning of the day that you were born, down to the morning of this day in which we read these words. So it is with God, but not with us, for we have sinned and grown old, and our Father is younger than we. I think Paul's trying to challenge this church this Thanksgiving season, what it means to have joy. Let me ask you this, and we'll move on to this next point. When's the last time you laughed out loud? When's the last time you just bent over laughing with tears? Making an absolute fool of yourself. Because it was so funny. It's been a long time for me. It's been a long time to enjoy laughter. And to enjoy the things that God has given me in my life. To enjoy these things. Understand the text. Paul says, I don't care what's coming at you. Be joyful always. So I finally get Noah to settle down, and we have that moment of saying, there's more to come, and he settles down. And then all of a sudden, something very unique begins to happen between my son and I. In that moment, in his bed. After we finally start thinking about what's going to come, and the joy begins to fill the room, outside the pain and all the bad stuff, all of a sudden this begins to happen. We begin to do this amazing thing. It's called talk. The Bible calls it prayer. We begin to say, I didn't have a chance. It's just a little window. I know. But I take full advantage of it. Lord, tell me about your day today. What did you enjoy? What was the highlight? What was the worst part? I ask Noah this every night. Is there any